Okay, so let's talk about procuring cause. Question is, what's an example of not procuring cause? A house that Tucker sold to a buyer that I didn't have anything to do with, I'm not procuring cause, I don't get paid. Seems very obvious. What you should have asked is, when is procuring cause? For the selling side, it's usually cut and dry because everybody signs a listing agreement. The problem you are going to have with procuring cause is when we get into the buyer agency agreements, because a lot of buyers do not want to sign a listing or an agency agreement with a buyer's agent. And what ends up happening is, and I don't want to spoil tomorrow's fun, what ends up happening is you take your buddy that you bestest friend for 20 years that you know and love, and you're the godparent to their kid, and you show them for 1,000 weeks in a row, houses, 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 and then Sunday they call and you go, well, I'm sick, and they see Josh has got it listed, and they really want to get in, so they call Josh to go see it. You just got screwed. Even though you've done 12 million weeks in a row with them, they didn't go through you. You're not the procuring cause in the sale. Josh would be. And now you don't get paid. So all the work you've done for them is now down the drain.
So that's why you sign.
That's why you get them to sign a buyer's agency agreement.
And how do you enforce a buyer's agency agreement?
Court. Yeah. Or I'd call Josh and say, hey, dude, that couple that went in yesterday, they were actually my clients. I got them signed on a buyer's agency. I was sick. And typically what happens in the real world now is we all know that this is such a small community. Most of the managing brokers know the other managing broker. So when trouble happens, I'll call and go, hey, dude, that was my client. And Josh is going to go, well, they lied to me. I said, I understand. It happens all the time. So here's what. I'll go ahead and finish the deal, and I'll just pay you a referral. Or you go ahead and finish the deal and pay me a referral. Or let me finish the deal and I owe you one on the next deal that we come together. I'll get, because I know that if I call Josh up right away and go, screw you, dude, we're going to court, that's going to come back around at some point where somebody's going to go, hey, did you hear Raymond sued so-and-so? Yeah, don't do a deal with them, or they're real hard to deal with. So a lot of times procuring causes can get messed up, but most managing brokers have been in the business long enough to understand that, you know, I'm going to deal with you again at some point, especially if I've got 40 agents and you got 40 agents. We're going to have an interaction at some point. I don't want that one to go south because of this one. So here's what we'll do. Let's come up with something. Split it with me. Give me half. You take a referral. I'll take a referral. Give it to me. I owe you one. You give it to them. You know, hey, I didn't like the client to begin with. You deal with them.
Work it out.
Yeah, you're going to go work it out. But literally, it happens all the time, mainly because buyers either lie, and there's an old saying, buyers are liars, or they don't understand how you get paid. That's the most common thing. I got a really good story tomorrow. I'll explain it to you. It cost me about 12 grand in commission because they didn't understand. Oh, I didn't understand. So that's part of the education when you have a new buyer. You work with them. Say, hey, here's what this means. Here's what this means. Here's what I do. Realize that so that we can talk about it. When you have an issue, call me. Don't call them, because you call them, that could cut me out, yada, yada, yada. And you have to educate that buyer so that they know. I'm going through that right now. I got a buyer, first-time home buyer, single mother, never bought a home, has no concept on any of this stuff. So stuff that I've been doing for 19 years, 400 deals, 100 million in closing, I'm still explaining to her the very basic because it's new for her. And that's one of the frustrating things that you see. It's like telling your kids 38 times not to do something. Well, I've got 38 clients. Every time it's the same thing. Okay, here's what you don't want to do. You know, they got your loan approved. Don't go out and buy a car. You know, you think that would be obvious, but you got to tell somebody that. Don't change your credit. Don't close a credit card. Oh, I didn't know. I thought they pulled my credit. It was safe. No, they're going to pull it again. Oh, so all this stuff, you have to go through them. So let's talk about how this commission works. We're going to do a little math. I'm going to kind of skip ahead just a second. On page 122 is a math problem. I'm going to do the one out of the book, so the first one out of the book, so the people online can hear. So the commission was $289,000 at 5%. $289,000, and I'm going to charge 5%. So if the house closes at $289,000, how much commission is earned? Very quick math. Very good, Miguel. $14,450 is the commission that was charged to that seller. It's that simple. All right? So if the house closed at $289,000 and I got paid $15,000 commission, what was the listing commission rate? Do that math. So I altered this question just a little bit. Still the same list price, but I got 15 grand. So their commission was how much? Is that a guess? 5.19%. You take the $15,000 that I earned, divided by the sales price, that tells you 0.0519 if he was correct in his math. So if I'd have told them, hey, I'll list your house at 5.19%, my commission check would have been 15 grand. Both of these math problems are on the exam. Figure it in both ways. This is called the commission rate. The percentage is called the commission rate, 6%, 5%, 4.5%, 5.5%. That's the commission rate. The dollars is called the commission. Make sure you understand that when we go to do a test, right? Oh, you guys that aren't paying attention are going to miss this. See? The commission rate is the percent. So in the test, when it asks for the commission rate, that's the percentage number. When they say, what was the commission, they mean the dollars. Commission rate is the percentage. Now to finish that out, if you and I were on a 50-50 split, we would then take this $14,450 and say I would make $7,225. You would make $7,225. So when you sign on for me and you say, okay, Raymond, I want you to help me. I said, all right, we're going to sign a 50-50 with commission, and we come back with this deal at $289 at 5%. It closes. I get the check made to the name of the moduling group. You go to the closing, bring me back the check. I put the check in the bank. I then write you a check from my account to you for $7,225. That's how the pay system works. It's that simple. All right? So let's do one more just for fun.
The example of the book, 7225 is actually the seller, and the 7225 is the buyer.
Well, we're going to do that right now.
Okay.
So I'm going to list a house, and it sells for $250,000. If you're at home listening, write that down. It's $250,000 is what it sells for. On my listing agreement, I told the seller that I'm going to list your property for 6%. Now, on our listing agreement, there's a second line that says, of my 6%, how much am I going to give to the buyer's agent to induce them to bring a buyer? So in this particular case, I'm going to give half of it to the other, we call it the other side. That the word side comes from when you sit at a closing. We got our side of the table and your side of the table. So they call them sides, is a very common term. So I'm giving half of my listing commission to the other side. All right? So let's do the percentage first. That means 3% is coming to me. 3% is going to the other side, which brought the buyer. Are we with me so far? What happens to that 3%? How does it get split? Who cares? It's not our money anymore. I don't know how that agent has got a split with his managing broker. But it doesn't matter to me. It's gone money. I gave Remax, who brought the buyer, that 3%. 3% of it stays on our side. So 3% of that sales price is $7,500. That is what you would come back at the closing with a check made out to the modeling group, $7,500. We call that the house. That's the house split. Like Vegas calls their casinos the house. It's kind of confusing since it was the sale of a house, but it's not that house. So $7,500 was the total commission that who earned? Me. But I have an agreement with you that we are going to split it 90% you and 10% me, because you have gotten a little bit better, and I know that I can give you a little more freedom to do deals without me helping you. So we are on a 90-10 split. I make $750. I think my math is correct. You make $8,750. My math's not correct. It'd be $6,000.
We're awake. Good job. You meant to do that.
Yeah, I meant to do that. I was testing you guys. $6,750. So you would bring me the check for $75. I'd put it in the bank. I'd then write you a check for $750, and I'd keep the other $750 as my portion. It's not a bad day. It's not a bad gig if you can get it. I would pay the other 3% to the other managing broker. I can't pay it to that agent, because just like our office, every other office is the same way. It's the managing broker's money. You know, it's Jim Talheim's money. I pay Hoosier Brokers the 3%. He then splits with whoever that agent was that was helping him out, however they see fit, which I have no idea. At closing, they would write two checks. One to the modeling group for $7,500, one to Hoosier Brokers for $7,500. That agent would take his back to Jim, you would bring it back to me, and then however we split, that's how we split, and however he's got it, that's how they got it. All right? It's very simple. This is the one math problem that most agents figure out real quick, because this is how you get paid. All right? So no matter how the structure is serviced, or the payout structured, it only goes to the managing broker. Me and to them. And then it trickles down to you guys from there on out. Let's change the audio.